reality. To bring about, I indicate when I talk about black children and why I talk about a psychology of the black child. I mentioned the fact, as I mentioned earlier, that the history of black people are different, therefore the psychology of black people is different. Consequently, if you're going to understand the psychology of black children, you have to understand the history of black people. And therefore, as I stated to you earlier, you cannot go into European psychology to deal with the psychology of black children. That's one reason why I wrote the developmental psychology of the black child. The other reason, of course, was the fact that the black child's body is not a duplicate of the European child's body. We are not colored people who are merely different according to the color of our skin. There's more to it than that, ladies and gentlemen. Your children represent the oldest race on this earth, the mother and father of all other of the races. They represent, as I told you earlier, that total history of their bodies as such. So they are not duplicates of white children. Under other circumstances, I pointed out how they're born intellectually more advanced than is a white child. They do things on their first day of life, the second day of life, that it takes a white child 6 or more months to do. They come out with the brain that, if you test it through EEG and other methods, demonstrates very clearly that they're more intellectually advanced than those of white children. You must understand history is not merely something that happens to people. It becomes a total part of their body and their existence. And you must understand that history to understand your children. And it's the failure to understand that. I also demonstrate that history is not something that just occurs. We must study psychohistory. That is the psychological results of undergoing historical experiences. And to a very great extent, the problem with the education of black children, the crack epidemic, and all of these other things we complain about day in and day out, are the result of a psychology that flows from a particular type of historical experience. You have a school system that is based upon the psychology of white children and white people. And you're trying then to educate your children on the basis of that system. They are bound to fail. The very structure of this college itself is based upon a white model, and therefore it has a built-in failure mechanism for you, one way or the other. Because you don't understand that your historical experience has changed the very way you think. Your very style of thinking, your very style of learning, your very style of relating one to the other has been transformed by your historical experience. Must understand. When you go into your psychology classes, you must understand that in order for the European to maintain his rulership over the world, even though he's 10% of the world's population, he must keep black people in a particular state of mind. It is necessary that you be backwards. It is necessary that this room be as sparsely attended today as it is with the College of the South. You must avoid things that have some meaning to you and flock toward things that are destructive to your future. Or else we wouldn't be oppressed, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you understand? Oppression rests on people going places and enjoying pleasures that destroy them, and who are excited by nonsense and bored by stuff that they should be learning. Don't you understand? That is the foundation upon which the oppression of the people rests. You think that your being here, not being here, is an expression of your freedom of choice. It is an expression of your enslavement. In this world where things are backwards, those who are oppressed must feel freest when they are most enslaved. Yeah. And this is the result. But if you don't understand the history, people will say, well, why do we act like this? Why can't we get along? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? No people are born the way they should be for a culture. Every culture does what? Trains, teaches over to other people and expect to be the right people for yourself, you're out of your minds if you think so. Those people are going to educate you in their interest, and I don't blame them. Understand? You get run over by buses and tractors and everything to put your children in the hands of an enemy that tells you, I don't want to be bothered with them, I don't believe in them, I hate their guts, I intend for them to stay on the bottom forever, and you just make all kinds of sacrifices to push them in there. And then you wonder, they can't read, they can't write, they're so misbehaving. Don't you know you have to be in that position if you're to be ruled over? You think it's going to be the other way around? But somehow we try again and again to accomplish the same thing by the same failing means. Don't you know that is the premier sign of neurotic behavior? Doing the same thing over and over again, despite the fact that it fails time and time again, and your only solution is to try it harder and harder and harder. That's just the essence of neurotic behavior. And yet we fall for it. Every maladjusted characteristic that you find in the black personality, the inability to get along one with the other, the inability to be reliable in our relationships one to the other, the inability to trust each other, you see, the inability to really love each other well and deeply, the lack of self-confidence, the lack of self-acceptance, the rush we get from buying from other people other than ourselves and so forth. All of those things have been implanted in the personality, and they serve economic functions, and they maintain a power situation, ladies and gentlemen. They are not things that just happen to be in your personality. They have been instilled through a historical brainwashing into the personality. So that people can say, well, you're free to develop businesses, and you're free to do this, but the problem is you don't trust each other enough, so you can't put it together. And you have to understand then that a black psychology, an African American psychology, must begin at the political necessity for African Americans to be crazy. Not with Pavlov's dogs. You must understand that even the demonstration of psychology in terms of dogs is a political game. Right? You think when Skinner writes about rats and cats and rats and things like that, he's being non-political? Got another thought coming. You have to recognize that you are the rat. You understand? That your ghettos are the Skinner boxes. That the relationship between the experimenter and the rat is a power relationship. And the rat is conditioned because of the differences in power between the rat and the man. And that the rat becomes conditioned and changed as a result of the fact that the man has control of vital things in his life. And if you think you can let another people feed you and water you and clothe you and hire you and so forth, and they not transform you like that rat, you got another thought coming. And if you don't learn that in your psychology class, you are being made dumb.